On this episode of the Layover Live, Grant stops by to talk doubling down on digital basics. All right, Stoltz, what are you going to do?
Hit me.
Woohoo! Bust!
Man.
Sorry, pal. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 70 of the Layover Live, where we bring you the top article from the Layover each week. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Digital Marketing, joined by strategic analyst Grant Stoltz. So Grant, I'm here to talk strategy and digital basics,
yes,
which may be a little bit better than your blackjack hand, huh?
Yeah, not so good.
Yeah, doubling down with the foreshowing, maybe not too
Yeah, that's not what the book says to do. So.
It doesn't, right? Well, let's get away from books and back into articles.
Yes.
So this week's article of the week comes from AdAge. It's getting back to digital basics, which we start to think about a lot. You know, as marketers, one thing's for certain, things are going to change. There's always going to be something new coming out, something evolving, and oftentimes we try to follow those trends in these new places that are happening. So this article is a really good article that talks about that. It really is focused on getting away from what's trendy and getting back into what's effective. So let's even talk about that, Grant. Let's talk about the article. Why is it this focus now on getting back to basics?
Yeah, so it's a really great article that it talks about some things, again, that are basic in a sense, but it kind of brings up the point of marketers, we like to focus on the shiny new object, what's the new thing on the block.
Yep.
So really it's looking at, not necessarily ignoring that, but acknowledging those new things that are coming out, but still remaining and retaining a focus on a lot of those basic items, such as focusing on your media performance, focusing on how things are performing, from your website and your ad level performance as well. So
yeah, getting back to your strategy, right? The article kind of goes over what some of those basics are.
Exactly.
So what are some of the basics? What are some of the things they're talking about?
Yeah, so I think the one thing they really mention is media mix versus media performance. Okay. I think that's the one thing as marketers that we get caught up on so often is, the new platform or placement or something new will come along, and it seems really, really convincing to try just because, again, it's new and shiny. So really it's actually saying look at your media performance rather than your media mix and your mixture of where you're placing media. Again, it's how it's actually driving your business results rather than just how it's driving impressions, reach, or engagement metrics like that. So that was the one item. The other piece it talks about is actually having a testing strategy and developing that, as far as what the article is saying is make sure that you're actually testing new things, because there's no absolute in marketing. It's all relative to the data on your audience and who you're targeting. So which might work for one person will not work for another, and vice versa. So it's actually saying, not only do you examine everything from a performance standpoint, but also test your elements of that to see if you can get some incremental gains out of your media spend, your media mix, and any other sort of advertising that you're putting out there.
Yeah, and it brings us some really good points, even around things like even unifying customer data, which, as we start to go across different channels and place media across different channels, naturally a fragmented journey is going to happen, especially as it relates to data. So just getting back to the basics of aggregating that data properly to be able to market to your audience effectively is something to really think about too. So I think that's a good basic one that they go over. But if we had to kind of focus on one area, where do you see marketers being able to improve the most?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what you just brought up, is unifying the customer data.
Right.
That's the big thing I think in the article they talk about as well, in regards to not only media, but how you place it and how you buy it is relative to your customer, your end user.
Very true.
So I think the biggest thing is looking at where and how we can put all this information under one roof, whether it's using a marketing automation type program, or whether it's even just, again, retaining a really good CRM and good information in your CRM of those users, what they're doing, how they've interacted with your brand, or how they've interacted with your advertising, and then being able to make some first-party audiences off that information. So rather than relying strictly on Google and Facebook and whomever else you're buying media from to create the audience, actually create them relative to your current users, creating lookalike audiences, things like that, I think is a great way to, again, expand not only your current audience, but also then maybe move out into new ones that you wouldn't have previously guessed or had access to without some first-party data that's in your CRMs or marketing automation platforms.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think unifying the data is more important than anything. If you think about, ways to measure success, that data's got to be good, right? Or otherwise you're going to make decisions based on poor data.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So Grant, thanks for stopping by and sharing that with us. And thanks for tuning in each and every week. If you're not subscribed to the channel, we'd love to have you subscribe, so please do so. We're also available on iTunes podcast as well as Spotify. So if you want to listen to us in your car or listen to us on your phone, we'd love to have you there too. So thank you for tuning in each and every week. We'll see you next time, and have a great day.